Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, President Trump has alarmed environmentalists by appointing climate change deniers to key positions within his administration. Now, Myron Ebell, the man who was appointed by Trump to lead the transition team for the Environmental Protection Agency, is in London to meet like-minded climate change skeptics. Should we be worried? After all, one environmental group described Mr. Ebell as the greatest single threat to the survival of the planet. He's been speaking to our science editor, Tom Clark.
Keep calling it hacking. There's no...
If climate change denial has a face, it probably belongs to Myron Ebell.
They are cooking the data.
A prominent Washington lobbyist, he's been the bête noire of the green movement for years as an industry-funded champion of deregulation and climate skepticism. With increasing global consensus on the dangers of climate change and need for action, voices like Ebell's became heard less and less. But now, he's back. This is the man Donald Trump's transition team asked to overhaul the US green watchdog, the Environmental Protection Agency.
The enemies of freedom come in many guises, and one of the most insidious and dangerous in the modern world is the regulatory regime that we now suffer under. And a large part of that is due to the environmental movement, which in my view is the greatest threat to freedom and prosperity in the modern world.
Calmly spoken, grey suited, but check out the boots. In Donald Trump's DC swamp, he's a gunslinger. You want to bring skepticism about climate back to the UK?
I want to bring skepticism about the role of government in a lot of issues. I mean, I think there's too much government in the United States.
We're not talking about government here, we're talking about the fundamental issue of whether climate change is a problem worth doing something about urgently.
Yes, I think global warming is not a problem. It could become a problem. It certainly isn't a crisis, and it's very unlikely to become a crisis.
The Paris climate deal was evidence of how the views of climate skeptics have been marginalised over the last decade. But with Donald Trump appointing several to his cabinet and populist post-fact politics on the rise in Europe too, have those urging action on climate change got a new fight on their hands?
Politicians around the world now face a challenge of whether they're prepared to listen to the discredited arguments of climate change deniers who've been proven to be wrong about the science, wrong about the economics and wrong about the politics of climate change. My bet is that in Europe and in the UK, they will stand firm and prefer to listen to scientists rather than ideological zealots like Myron Ebell.
You are, in many ways, the environmentalists in America, the Darth Vader to their rebellion.
Yes.
How does that make you feel? You're a public figure of hate.
It's silly. I mean, you know, I just do public policy and try to make the arguments that I think are correct, and will contribute to the public debate on these issues. I don't have a power base or huge funding.
It's true Mr. Ebell's think tank does have a fraction of the money of some large environmental groups and no longer enjoys the donations it used to from fossil fuel giants like ExxonMobil. But he's worked with the Trump administration and told us it would likely pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement and very soon move to allow oil and gas drilling on US federal land. What he's lobbied for years is starting to happen.
Justin.
I've been getting